Aditi.
Hey.
Welcome to the program.
Our good friend Aditi
How was your tennis
Kinkhabwala.
game today? Win, lose?
It actually wasn't tennis.
Too cold.
What was it
go
today?
For a walk.
Just for a walk
No,
today?
I'm just trying to. It's been a little bit of a scramble. Window into my life. I thought I was having an easy weekend and flying to Jacksonville, doing easy peasy few hits on the New York Giants who are playing down there. And first thing yesterday morning, right after I've gotten back from New York City, I get a phone call. Hey, can you man the sideline for the Titans Colts? So while my husband is in Virginia and I am single parenting and doing a radio show in town, I am now trying to bone up on the Colts and the Titans.
Ooh.
And oh, by the way, my house is a disaster too, which is a whole other story.
You don't have a
I called
cage.
my husband. No, but Adam, you'll appreciate this one. I called my husband this morning and I said, Matt, I'm just like scrambling. And I know that all the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show asks of me is about 20 minutes, but I'm just dying here. And he said, remember the conversation we had with Adam about how great partnerships, sometimes one person carries you and sometimes the other person carries you and sometimes everybody carries their own weight. And he said, if today Adam needs to carry you, he'll carry you.
I'll carry you. I'll pick you up.
That's exactly right.
You're pretty light.
We've got you,
I'm
Aditi.
feeling help today, guys.
By the way, I hope when they asked you, can you man the sidelines, you said no, but I can woman the sidelines.
You know what? I don't think actually that was the phrase that was used, but I know like it's so much fun to be on the sideline. It's so much fun to be thought of that, hey, they're in a pickle, they need someone, and the first person they think to call is me. And I don't think it's supposed to be cold or rainy in Tennessee, so knock on wood. That's
Good.
got me excited.
Aditi, I actually think there's an interesting storyline with the Titans because they drafted Malik Willis, right? Do I got that right? Malik
Right.
Willis, right? And
Yes,
Ryan
it is Malik
Tannehill,
Willis.
like, when Ryan Tannehill first went to Tennessee, they're like, wow, this guy's been reborn. And now it's like, Like, if you're a Titans fan, you're not excited about Ryan Tannehill. I'm curious, is there any rumblings of Malik Willis getting an opportunity, or are they comfortable just sticking with Tannehill? Or is it too
I don't
early
think
in
at the
process for you?
moment. Well, of course, as I just told you, I just found out. So
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't necessarily made all my calls yet. I don't think that that's something that's incredibly imminent. You know, one of the things that we knew about Malik Willis coming out is that he had a lot of raw talent, but that he was very, very, very raw.
Yeah.
And there obviously was a learning curve. And part of the appeal of Kenny Pickett was that he was considered far and away the most pro-ready prospect of any of these rookie quarterbacks. That's why it was such an odd rookie quarterback year. But I think what was notable is when Ryan Tannehill was asked about Willis, he was, I wouldn't call it salty, but not necessarily like, oh yeah, I can't wait till he's here and he's under my wing or anything like that. You know, it wasn't necessarily an Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes moment. It was a little bit more a Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph moment.
Yeah.
But
or Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that too. So it's funny how we sort of allow that at that position.
Yeah.
We accept that at that position.
That's
You know,
true.
any
It's
other
weird.
position, you bring in a great pass rusher, you're expected to help the next great pass rusher. You're expected to help the next great middle linebacker. And it's sort of like, yeah, it's on you to go ahead and try to beat me. But at quarterback, feelings are maybe a little bit more, maybe the nicer way to say is you might be a little bit more into your feelings.
Interesting. I know that you're up to your neck now in Titans Colts, but we want to get your thoughts on the Ravens and the Browns, two teams that you know very well. How do you see this football game playing out? What are the prospects for a Browns victory on Sunday?
It's funny. This was a conversation that I had with Jacoby Jones earlier in the year. He was asked a question by a member of my crew. These first four games are winnable games. And for me, it's like, if you're a professional athlete, you better go into every game thinking it's a winnable game. And, that's essentially what Jacoby was also saying, that it's sort of a silly question because you don't line up and play. You don't put your uniform on if you don't think that you have a great chance. The trouble right now is that I just don't feel that I have a great handle on either of these teams. I think that they're both underachieving and underachieving in very different ways. I think that the Browns are just not playing nearly up to their potential, which is what we have been talking about ad nauseum, and I know we talked about Tuesday. The Ravens are not closing out games. It's their, what is that cliche? They're snatching defeat from the hands of victory.
Yeah.
as
So are we.
evidenced by what happened last week against the Giants. I mean, they had that game won, and all of a sudden Lamar Jackson is throwing a pick, and oh my goodness. And that's very, very odd for a John Harbaugh team.
Right.
Very odd. You know, a year ago, that team was as good as any, except for the fact that 20 major contributors and starters went down. And despite that, at the end of the season, they were still in every single game and lost by 1 or 2 points to top teams over and over again. And it was just sort of needing one more play. Well, now it's that whole finishing thing. And you kind of expect that when you have a young quarterback. If I say that to you about the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have a first-year head coach and a young quarterback and are sort of learning what it means to be a professional for the first time, it would make sense. But in Baltimore, it doesn't make sense. So this is, again, why I'm a bit confused. So I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how it's going to play out. I mean, the question started, how do you see this playing out? I really don't, because it all depends on who shows up. Is it Lamar Jackson, MVP candidate and world-beating Ravens and tough as can be? Then, okay, the Browns have a tough go, especially the way they've been playing. Do the Browns finally wake up and get their act together and do all the little things that they need to do and seemingly be on the same page and run the ball well? You know, like, it's so many... If it's so many caveats.
It is hard to predict. Yeah, it does feel like a hard game to predict because as much as we want to say, well, the Browns have been awful, the Ravens have been just so bad. As bad as the Browns have been in the fourth quarter, the Ravens have been even worse because they have collapsed in 4 straight games. They did manage to kick the game-winning field goal in the Bengals game, but they collapsed like epically in all 4 of these games.
Yes.
So and the thing with Lamar is, like, I've always been, even though he's a Raven, I've always liked Lamar and I've liked his game. But he was not good. There's a weird thing about Lamar. I don't get what it is. It feels like some people are afraid to ever criticize him. If you criticize him, it's like you're saying he sucks, which is not true. You can criticize a guy and not say he sucks. Lamar obviously doesn't suck, but he was not very good last year, and his play can be inconsistent. At times he looks like, how does anybody stop this guy? And then there's other times where he throws the worst picks, where he just looks completely lost, and it's strange. But even this year, his play's been up and down. Now, he doesn't have a great talent around him besides Andrews, but his play's been inconsistent.
And I think that's something that he's talked about for a few years, that's the goal, is the consistency. You know, he clearly became a better thrower of the football in year 2 than he was in year 1. He's worked every offseason to get better at some part of his game. And something we've heard, did somebody just pop champagne? Is that popping?
No, we're shooting baskets.
They're shooting baskets. It's very rude, Aditi.
Jason threw his
That's how engaging I am, that you're shooting baskets right now?
Aditi, they do it in every interview.
They do it in every interview.
They literally do it in every interview, and their shooting percentage is horrendous. They miss every time. I think Jason might be like Shaq from the free throw line.
I am like 0 for 7.
Jay's streaky. Jay's like J.R. Smith. Some days he might get 7 and 9.
Some
days he might go 1
and 12.
Yeah,
but is that a sign of how not engaging I am?
No, as soon as we're done with our water or our Gatorade, we take the shot.
Take the shot.
It has nothing to do with your content. Aditi, your content is mesmerizing, I promise you.
By the way, Aditi, I don't do
Jason, I'm a mother. I hear everything. I think it's eyes in the back of my head that my mother had, but I hear everything.
It did kind of sound like a champagne bottle pop.
Aditi, do not say mother that hard and with that much emphasis. I was scared. I said, whoa.
Yeah, I know. When you started that, I thought where's she going with this?
Just to make you feel a little better, they do this all the time, I promise you. They've done it during your interviews before, too.
We're children.
Jason's miss was so bad, it was loud enough that you heard it through there. So
it's
Jason will go to bed tonight knowing his miss was so horrendous.
Yeah.
All million people watching right now heard that through the YouTube.
It was a brick.
That's how bad it was.
And by the way,
I can't. What does Jason's shirt say? I can't read it.
Cleveland. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a Cleveland Clothing Company shirt. They did the shirts for the show.
That's a good one.
And I stopped and picked it up. Cleveland. It's not that bad. Have a beer.
That's clever.
We're not Detroit.
Shout out Cleveland Clothing Company. I stopped and picked this one up yesterday, day before. So, yeah.
So I don't know what company this is, but I saw a great one on a woman at First Energy Stadium on Sunday, and it said, if you're going to be salty, bring me the tequila.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that.
Isn't that a good one?
Yeah,
That's really good.
That's a good one.
That's good.
That is. Hey, when
I
they
feel,
do
I
it,
feel like, oh, well, really quickly, there's a novelist I love, John Lescroix, and he writes these kind of criminal lawyer suspense, Dismas Hardy and Dismas Hardy and Abe Glitsky, whatever. I recommend him highly. He's amazing. But he's got a character, Will Ferrell, who always wears interesting T-shirts. And he's a lawyer, so he just wears the interesting T-shirts underneath his suit. And I feel like that would be such a fun shtick, but I don't know if I have enough money to invest in cool T-shirts. Unless maybe the Cleveland Clothing Company wants to sponsor me. I have slogans. I can offer the slogans.
I got 4 or 5 cool ones
Just
yesterday.
throw that out there.
You'll be seeing them all.
by the way, Aditi, when these
I
guys.
took you off the rails. I'm sorry. Go
It's
ahead.
all right. I was going to keep it off the rails because when these guys throw their bottles when Leroy Horde is on, they're not paying attention to a word he's saying. Not a word.
But
Well, Leroy's so engaged. He doesn't care. Leroy doesn't care if anybody's right.
True.
Leroy's in his room right now talking to the camera.
Right.
He doesn't know it's not on.
It doesn't even matter what questions we ask. He just goes where he wants to go.
He's on a dissertation. His new name is Phil A. Buster. And he is in that room 24 hours a day saying, you know how hard it is in this league to get 5 yards. And there's nobody listening.
And guess what?
He's still going.
Oh, man.
Wait, I have to say something. So as you guys know, you caught me. I just came in from my workout, and I very quickly, instead of like showing you my Under Armour shirt, I put a scarf on, a very lovely, like nice big scarf. I sat down, I was ready to go, and I said to Mikey, oh no, wait, it's purple. So I ran in the room and threw on a green sweater instead.
Can't confirm.
I mean,
He can't wear
what's Jay's excuse?
That's true. Jay is wearing purple.
Jay's wearing purple. And black.
Like, are you allowed to wear purple as a Cleveland person? So what? Are you allowed to wear purple during Ravens week?
I am. Yeah, I checked my contract.
Yeah.
You probably didn't even think about it.
Didn't give it one. I give zero thoughts to anything I put on any day of the week.
So
ever.
You know what's funny? When I had just moved to Cleveland.
Seriously?
I had just moved to Cleveland, Aditi. I had been here just like a couple of weeks. And I was going to a bar, the Barley House, actually. And then we were going to go to the Browns-Seahawks preseason game. And I didn't even think anything about it. And my shirt was Seahawks colors. But I didn't even think, and I'd been here 2 weeks, and I was actually with our old buddy Chuck Booms at the time, and he's introducing me to people. We're starting a new sports show, blah, 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 blah. And there you go.
By the way,
I'm wearing Seahawks colors.
By the way, that does not.
You know, it's fun.
Doesn't apply to African Americans. We actually wear opposing teams' hats.
That's true.
And we get away with that all the time. Yankees
I
hat.
would say you get away with it. We killed LeBron for wearing a Yankees hat.
Oh no! We came to the back of LeBron because everyone knows, as an African American young male, everybody has Yankees hats, including CeCe Sabathia, who co-signed it and said, "Yeah, you're right. We wear Yankees hats all the time."
Yeah. I guess these rules change all the time.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny because as a reporter, I've been called out. I can't tell you how many times. I remember my first year at the NFL Network. I had a shirt that was a blue, not a Giants blue, but I thought a blue. When I wore it in Pittsburgh, people accused me of wearing a Ravens purple. And when I wore that same shirt in Washington, they said, why are you wearing Giants colors? Oh my God. It's funny. Everybody takes it, at least the team seem to take it very, very seriously.
Is weird.
Yeah, you never want to show bias one way. I wore a pink coat in Baltimore. It was a pink coat in Baltimore when the Steelers were there. And I had my Twitter mentions blow up by Steelers fans being like, how dare you wear purple in a Steelers game in Baltimore. And I was like, hey, your eyes checked.
People are such dopes.
Those are the people, Aditi, every decision in their entire life that they make revolves around their team. Like, why would anybody think that the clothing choice you make is a statement of your fandom unless it says Ravens on it?
Right.
Like, okay, colors, especially pink and purple, like, what's their problem?
Well, I'm just telling you that I've been a subject to that. So clearly I was going to call you out, Jay, because I was highly sensitive to it myself.
Hey, I'm okay.
Would have been
you know
90
what?
seconds
Just here's what you respond. I don't show up at 7-Eleven and tell you how to run the Slurpee machine, so don't tell me how to do my job. Okay? We good?
It matches. If it matches with my shoes, I'm rolling with it.
Aditi, let's get back before you go. Let's get back to the game here between the Browns and Ravens. Obviously, for the Browns, I mean, I hate to say a must-win, but if they lose, if they lose this game, if they lose the next two,
it's a must-win. Bull.
It is.
Then the season's over. I mean, and then you're thinking about maybe trading Kareem Hunt or who knows, and then it's all about next year and Deshaun Watson. Do you look at it as a must-win, or because first place is 3-3 right now, is it not? Is that too early to say?
I'm going to do that same. I'll do that same player thing. Every week is a must-win. Every week you go out there are so many limited opportunities that, you do have to make up ground. But the flip to that, I'll say, so you want that approach. You want that urgency. You certainly want that team walking in that building and saying, okay, this is essentially akin to a playoff game. Here we go. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't necessarily mean the end. And I'll remind you, Adam, I think you were still in New York. That Giants team that I covered that last won a Super Bowl in Indianapolis against the Patriots, lost 4 in a row at the end of November and start of December, seemed dead in the water. Right. I mean, they played a horrible game early in December against Washington, and you just thought, holy cow, is this team terrible? And then they beat the Jets at Christmas. They did indeed win a must-win to get into the playoffs, a Sunday night last week of the season against the Cowboys, and then they rattled off 4 straight wins to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
Until you're officially eliminated, you are not eliminated.
That's true, but
that's
at 2-5,
it's a big hole.
It's one thing to be 3 games under 500.
Didn't we just see the Dolphins? But didn't we just see the Dolphins start like 1-7 and then rattle off 7 straight wins or something like that? So it is possible.
Highly unlikely.
Why don't we just make it start now? Like, that's my point. It's kind of like that line in When Harry Met Sally. When you figure out who you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start right now. Okay, well, if you want to make a run, start that run right now. Yeah. I'm just saying to the fans, don't be jumping off the ledge and giving up on the season if it doesn't go right. But to the players, I'd say, okay, soon enough. All right, we're a few weeks late getting our act together.
Or
Let's go.
You end up singing Surrey with a Fringe on top in front of Ira. In front of Ira.
Do you not love that movie?
That's a great movie.
An all-time great movie.
So, but Aditi, you're right. It's unless you're mathematically eliminated, it is not a must-win. However, because the league is leaning so heavily on analytics, I would just share with you that the percentage of teams that make the playoffs when starting 2-5, I don't even know.
It's probably like 5% or less.
No, I'd say it's less than that.
Yeah.
I would say it's less than that. Because at that point, it's not that you can't come back from that. It's that that's who you are. At 7 games, you're just not very good. So how are you going to think that a team that's not very good is suddenly going to completely flip the script? You'd have to go 5-2 to get back to 500 with 3 games to play.
That's the bigger problem.
That's the issue.
The bigger problem is how are you trending in your play as opposed to how are you trending in your results? And we're not seeing any play that's giving us tremendous confidence right now.
Now, you made a point earlier, though. The reason it's so tough to handicap this game with the Ravens and the Browns is because I don't know that you can find 2 teams in the league where there's such a gap between their ceiling and their floor. They both can be very, very good, and they both can suck. And when there's that big of a difference and you don't know what you're going to get week to week, it's hard to think that suddenly you're going to get the ceiling 7 games out of 9 from here on out or whatever. It's just unlikely.
And that's exactly why I said this is such a perplexing matchup because, I mean, if you're watching most of last week and the Ravens have the Giants, who are ostensibly one of the best teams in the NFC all of a sudden on the ropes, and then they pull that collapse, as you said, and now it's suddenly... It's what we talked about with the Browns from week 1 to week 2 to now when you're giving up the big plays. Is it a one-off? Is it a trend? Is it your identity?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So you think with the Ravens initially, okay, maybe that was just a really weird thing. Then the second time it happens, you're saying, is this turning into a trend? The third time, Justin Tucker bails them out, and so you're like, okay, we're bucking it. But then when it happens the fourth time,
Yeah,
is
it's a
this who you
problem.
are? Are you
Yeah.
trope artists?
That's who
No?
you are.
And so, well, I mean, yeah, and I never count out a John Harbaugh team ever.
No,
So.
they do have the Harbaugh factor, although he hasn't seemed to have that John Harbaugh fastball this year. I know you got to go study up on the Colts and the Titans. Enjoy the game, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much, as always. Great stuff, Aditi.
All right, awesome.
Wait a second,
Thanks,
real
guys.
quick. A very, very, very quick question before you go. If you had to have an elephant, an alligator, or a kangaroo as a pet, which would you take?
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
Well, you could ride the elephant. Like, I'm thinking of the big elephant waist, but it just feels like the elephant would be the most fun, and they would all have waist anyway.
True.
So at least the elephant waist is like big enough to pick up. So
Elephants.
I would choose the elephant because
Boy,
I could ride the elephant, and the elephant could water my daughter, and and I love elephants.
Water
You know
my
this,
daughter.
right?
Yeah, but your pet bag
Do you
is
know I love
actually the size of a
elephants?
Glad bag.
There you go.
Oh, there. Yeah, she's a
You
fan.
see my elephants? Can you
I
see
know,
my
I like the
penchant
elephant.
for elephants? Do you know
That was
why?
easy
Do you know
for
why
you.
I love elephants?
Why?
Because elephant mothers are the strongest mothers out there, and they are known to kill to protect their family. And if they find orphaned elephants, they take them in as their own.
And when they give birth, the calf elephant has to be up and walking in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, they'll ma-
Yes,
wipe them off,
they're
slap
tiger
them up.
moms.
not,
Yeah.
not like
I
bunch
don't know
of
why we
babies
call
that
them
we
tiger
are.
moms. We should call them elephant moms, frankly.
You're elephant
I'm gonna
moms,
start
right?
calling them
Exactly.
elephant. Yeah.
All right.
All right, Aditi. I had
All
to
right,
get that
guys.
question.
Thanks,
in.
Aditi.
There you go.
Your feed